All right, James Moore, welcome to the World Hard Enduro podcast, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Brandon. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's really cool to have another fellow South African coming onto the show talking about, hard enduro. And, before we get into pretty much what the title of this video and of this podcast is going to be, I would like for you just to share with us a little bit more about who you are and like how you got into racing off-road and like dirt bikes and just a little bit about your career.
I live in a small town in Harrismith, in the middle of South Africa in the Free State. And I started riding like a lot of us with my dad introducing me to the sport. I started on a little offset trials bike and yeah, when I was 2.5 years old. So got into it quite young, and then I could ride a bicycle. I couldn't ride a bicycle, but I could ride a motorbike. So yeah, that was the start of it. And then in 2015, I started my racing career. So I started in motocross on 65s and raced for a year full motocross and did all the races in South Africa. And then in the end of 2015, I made a change to enduro, and I started just riding enduro for fun for lots of years, just with my dad and his mates and some of my mates, doing a few fun events here and there. And then I started racing enduro in 2022 only. So I've only been racing for 3 years now. 2025 will be my fourth year. And yeah, I've raced the national championship for all 3 years, both extreme and enduro in South Africa. And then I asked my dad if I can try go overseas, and yeah, he's doing everything to make it happen.
Yeah, and that's wicked. It's quite surprising to hear like actually how you've only been riding in the national series for only 3 years. You would expect that it would be for a lot longer with the skill and kind of like where you've gotten to this point. It's quite remarkable. And also something that surprises me is that I don't think that you raced junior nationals, right? So obviously Matthew Green and Wade Young and most of the South African boys, the older guys, I would say, yeah, we can call them older guys now, like myself as well, all racing junior nationals at a stage. And that series kind of had passed before you even got into racing. So that's something that's super interesting.
Yeah, on 80,000 junior season, I was just doing fun events, just doing yeah some really fun events, and just with my dad. Yeah, and it was all fun for me. And then eventually in the big end of 2021, I was like, Dad, I want to try to do a full series. I'm doing all these races, but they're not really meaning anything to me. So yeah, that's how it started, and just an idea, and yeah, it's ended up in a quite a cool place. Yeah.
What has been one of your like favorite memories that you look back on in your racing career in South Africa?
Yeah, I think in 2023, racing Roof of Africa, I won the second day, or the last day. I mean, it was insane. Not quite Wade's 16-year-old win, but it was something. A 17-year-old day win is yeah, it's quite special, I think.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I remember that quite clearly as well from watching it from the outside in. That was a really cool moment. I think just for everyone, just to see also like how much persistence you have inside these longer, tougher days where you really have to fast bait. You have to bite hard and get through the sections and get through the day, especially coming out on top. That's pretty awesome. But yeah, let's look at what's the situation right now. So I know that you've announced that you've moved from Gas South Africa to KTM Brother Broadlink Leader Trade KTM for 2025 after absolutely dominating the enduro season last year. I mean, I think you got 5 out of 6 wins for the championship, which is pretty
Yeah.
awesome, pretty remarkable after only your third year. And yeah, so what made you do the big move or the move kind of between the colors, between Gas red and then the KTM orange?
Yeah, so KTM and Gas are under the same management, and they told me that the Gas team is not going to be carrying on. It's going to be more of just a roof team. And then they asked me, would you like to join the KTM team as the lead rider? And obviously, it made a lot of sense for me to move to their main brand. I'm not calling Gas not a main brand, but their main brand, and also to ride the same bike as riding here in South Africa as overseas is really a bonus.
Yeah, cool. I think that makes sense also just with the current situation at the moment. Yeah, and I mean, also you being the top rider now in SA for Enduro. Where did you finish the Hard Enduro series in SA?
I finished second, yeah. So I I won the last 2 rounds, but the first 2 rounds were a lot more stacked, and I think I've improved a lot this year, and yeah, so I came second behind Travis Teasdale. Yeah, he really had a good season, really consistent, so he deserved it fully.
I think Nick this year, starting to fight for that number one, trying to push Travis. I think with the level of progression that you've got going at the moment, it's going to be tough to fend you off for this 25 season.
Yeah, no, for sure wanna try bump bars with the big boys, and yeah, if you're not improving, you have to try new things. So for sure, going to be trying to improve and try get a few more wins in the Hard Enduro season in South Africa.
Yeah. And then moving away from South Africa, the pretty much the title of this video, the big news that we want to share. Moving to full ride with Rigo Racing for 2025. Dude, what an awesome time to be alive, man. That's awesome. Can you share some more about it, more about the deal, what your plans are for 2025?
Yeah, no, I'm super happy to be with Rigo. It's really such a cool team. It's a family-run team, so it really feels like a family when you're there. And I'm also with one of my very good mates, Matt Green. So that's super cool. And yeah, so I'm going to be moving to Italy for half of the year, and then coming back for just the races in South Africa that I have to do. And I'm going to be racing the Italian Extreme Series as well, and the whole Junior World Hard Enduro season, and hopefully all the rest of them in Europe.
Is the goal to take the W, get a world championship belt under your in your cabinet there, a trophy for the junior class Hard Enduro World Championship?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, that's the goal. I always say if you're not going to a race to win, then I don't know what you're doing. So, I mean, we've
Yeah.
got quite a bit of competition in the junior class now, so it's not going to be easy, but I'm really going to train hard and try get that trophy in the cabinet.
That'll be so sick. I mean, joining Matthew Green as well, being a junior world champion, that would be pretty cool. Pulling it also for Rigo Racing. Did you have any other offers available to you for the 25 season, or was it mainly Rigo Racing that you were kind of fighting for or going for?
Yeah, I did have a few other offers, but my main one that I wanted to do was stay with Rigo. I mean, I really love their team, and they've done a lot for me this last year, and to stay with them just makes complete sense.
What bike will you be riding for the 25 season? Because I know that they're still running the old shape, I think the 23 bikes. Are you going to be staying on that for 25, or is it time to move up to TBR?
I think we will stay on the same bikes. I mean, they're really,
Mm,
really good, and I really don't have like a preference over which bike. And yeah, I
mm,
love that bike. It's my favorite bike that I've ever ridden this last year. It's really
mm.
been good. I mean, that engine that the Rigo guys have built is really something quite good. So, and yeah, I really don't see there's no big draw to going to the new bikes for me.
I mean, yeah, definitely. I think that is the mindset, right? Like if they got a good package, why change it? You know, it's don't need to go to 24. There's probably no obligations to move to the new chassis, new technology. And if you got that good setup and tune for the TPRs, then yeah, might as well run it, right? Because it seems to be doing well for Matt and for you. I mean, you had a pretty good 24 hard enduro season, world hard enduro season. And tell us more about how 24 actually unraveled for you. You had some career bests, I think, inside the premier classes or overall. Tell us more about what happened in 24.
Yeah, so 24 season, I started in Valley's Extreme, and I literally rode that Rigo bike for the first time the day before the race. So it was a bit of getting thrown in the deep end, but I mean, I really enjoyed the bike. And then I finished 15th overall there and fifth in the junior class. And then we went to Serbia, which was such an awesome race for me. I qualified when we did the time lapse for the qualifying for the races. I was third behind the two Brightmores, and then um, qualified in a reasonably good position for the main days, and then really had a good second day. It was probably my best day of riding I've ever had, coming fifth overall and first in the juniors on that day. And then, yeah, at the end of Serbia was eighth overall, which I mean was a career best, and also to get a top 10 is really so cool. Then we went to Romania. Well, that was was quite a race. I really had to pack my cement for that one, and yeah, I really had to fuss bait. And yeah, so that was, I think I came 13th overall, and I'm not sure, and I think third or fourth in the juniors. So yeah, that was also a really good experience. And to race the hardest race is always quite comforting to know that it can't really get much harder than that. So yeah,
Mm.
so and then I went to Turkey, and I really enjoy that race. The beach day is my favorite day of racing on the whole year. And yeah, I did quite a good race. Was sitting really well in like sixth overall for most of the race, and then unfortunately got my chain jam between my sprocket and my swing arm, and then lost quite a few positions, but still finished 11th overall. So stoked to have finished with only 16 finishes.
Yeah. You speak about Romaniacs, like it's nice to know that it can't get more tougher. I think you underestimate what Martin can do, hey, because it seems like he's just absolutely crazy about, throwing pretty much the most technical sections that most hard enduro riders face inside their career into those
Yeah.
riders. So tell us more about what day one had entailed for you for that Romaniacs.
Yeah, day one was crazy, really crazy. So Um, I had quite a bad qualifying. I was quite far back. I'm not exactly sure what
Mm,
position, but I was quite far back. So in the beginning half of the day, I was just passing as many people as I could. And then we got to one section. I was riding with Travis Teasdale quite a lot. And then we got to one section called No Sex, and that absolutely
mm,
killed me. And it was before the refuel
mm,
even. So
no.
we did that thing, and I managed to break away from Trav, and then got to the refuel, and it started raining, and I was like, almost started shedding a tear in the pits there. But then,
Yeah.
yeah, you have to carry on. You don't really have a choice. So
Yeah.
carried on, and then got to one section, and I literally couldn't get up. It took me so long. Then eventually I got up, and
Mm,
then got time barred at one of the checkpoints, and I'm
mm,
grateful and ungrateful for that. But yeah, I was really tired,
yeah.
and then to stack another 3 days of the hardest riding you've ever done is also quite tough, yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine, man. I was in the bronze class for that race, so I was having a good time on day one, just pretty much flat out cruising. And I just heard that the guys in gold class or what they had to go through. When Martin says to the in riders briefing the night before, like, okay, gold starts at their own location completely. Yeah, they start at their own location, not connected to bronze and silver and the rest of the other riders. Then you know that what gold has in store for that day of riding is going to be ridiculous. So yeah, what I heard from that was is pretty crazy.
And especially when you see a like a it's those little white signs and it's gold and
Yeah.
iron going that way, and you're like, oh, okay, now we got another
Yeah.
section. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah,
race is absolutely insane, absolutely insane.
yeah. What an awesome place to ride and race a motorcycle. Is that the first time you've done Romaniacs?
No, I did silver class last in 2023. So I did
Mm,
silver, and I was doing really quite well. I was in the leading group, and then unfortunately I broke my front brake hose. So
mm,
to do those downhills in Romania, known for its steepness, is without a front brakes was almost impossible.
mm,
And it was the day with those massive storms. So yeah, it
mm,
was crazy, such a learning experience. But I did finish,
mm.
so I'm stoked with that still.
What was your favorite race from 2024?
I would say Sea to Sky probably. Um,
Mm,
I really enjoyed it. I mean, the beach race, like I said, is my favorite day of racing in the whole year. And then
mm,
also, I was riding with some really, really good guys. I was up there with the big boys banging bars. So yeah, I
mm.
learned so much already from just that race. And yeah, and I also had done quite well the year before, so I sort of knew what I was getting into. And then yeah, raced even better because I knew that.
Yeah, and for 2025, so you moving to Italy, it's going to be, or for half the year, you said it's going to be a big change, not only for your racing career, but also just for life in general. It's quite lucky to have Matthew there as well to help you out and to show you the ropes because he's been there for a little while now. Is there anything in particular that you are quite excited about with this move to Italy, and then also the team, and just for your career and also personal excitement?
Yeah, I'm just so excited to be doing the whole junior championship. I mean, it's been a dream of mine for some time now, and to make it possible and to live in Italy, I mean, we go riding in some crazy places there. Matt sent me videos, so yeah, and being with Matt is a huge help. So luckily, I don't have to try and
Yeah.
reinvent the wheel or anything. I just have to sort of
Mm.
stick with him, and yeah, I mean, he's such a good rider, so I'm for sure going to learn from him. I'm excited for that. And then also being able to practice on the same bike that you're racing is also, I mean, massive. And not
Mm.
to only ride the day before the race is, yeah, going to be really cool. And so I'm more excited to see what I can do and see where I can end up in this whole championship. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, as I mentioned before, with the level of progression that you've had up to now, I mean, 3 years of racing professionally, and now already got kind of a contract, you're getting paid to ride your dirt bike now. That's pretty awesome, man. Yeah, congratulations, dude.
Yeah.
That's really cool to hear.
Yeah, I know it's amazing to try and make your passion, your job is just really, really cool and a dream come true. Yeah.
One thing that I think that maybe not many people may know about you that are from overseas, maybe not South African side, is actually like how tall you are. So the first time I met you, I think it was Romaniacs actually. We were walking around, and I was just blown away with how like tall you actually are. Do you find that helps you a lot inside the hard enduro sections?
Yeah, I would say for in South Africa it helps me a lot because none of a lot of us come from trials backgrounds, but
Mm,
overseas, I mean, even Manny's not that tall. I mean, he's decently tall, but
mm,
he can just get up the things. I mean, for me, without the trials background, it for sure helps me a lot. Not falling over,
mm,
being able to just put my foot down anytime, and I've seen it a lot more in South Africa than overseas, but. Most of my
mm,
technique comes out of my long legs, so they for sure do help
mm.
me. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, it was quite a surprise. I was like, damn, man, you got some long legs on you, and for hard enduro, it's definitely something that you would need for, or it definitely helps you. I mean, you can see people like Graham that just don't even need legs; they just keep it on the pegs for the whole time or most of the time, and he just cruises up sections. So
Yeah.
you haven't had any trials experience at all, right? Like you don't do any trials bike riding at all.
No, I do. We bought a trials bike in 2023, and I rode
Okay.
quite a bit in 2023. I was living with Tom Scales. Not many people know that either. I was living
Mm,
with him at his house, and
mm,
then yeah, we would ride together quite a bit on the trials bikes. And then 2024, I've ridden it probably 4 times in the year. Yeah, not very much at
mm.
all. And I was going to try get into it this December, but with my ankle injury, it's been a bit difficult to do that. Yeah, but for
Yeah.
sure this year
Um,
I want to dive into a bit more as well.
Yeah. And let's actually go into a little bit more about your ankle injury because I didn't know this, and I don't think many people as well from outside of like in European countries and like overseas, not in South Africa that are attending the roof. You injured your foot, broke your foot on day one of the roof, and still proceeded to continue and absolutely smash it. I think still provisional results haven't been like displayed yet, so I think it's still third overall for the race, just behind Theodore and Wade. Yeah, tell us like what was going through your mind when you broke your foot at that point. It's like, okay, I'm just gonna keep on going, make this happen.
Yeah, there's actually a video of me falling on Teo's Instagram. He had his
Okay.
GoPro and I fell off a step and I landed weirdly and I really didn't know it was broken at first. I think it was just adrenaline
Mm,
completely. Yeah, I really didn't know
mm,
anything and then I got to the refuel and I cooled down a bit and then I could really feel it. So I asked my dad
mm,
for 2 painkillers and then carried on, finished the day, and then
mm,
I was at the end of the day, I didn't think it was broken ever. I just thought I'd damaged some tendons or sprained it really badly or something. And then yeah, I
mm,
mean, I didn't really have a choice. In my head, I didn't have a choice. I was just going to ride. So to put my
mm,
boot on the next day was really yeah, it was really sore. I mean, my foot was quite big. Yeah, but I managed to get on and then took another 2 painkillers and rode the rest of that day. So yeah, it was quite difficult, but it was nothing that I don't think it really hindered my performance too much.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that's quite crazy. And what's the recovery time looking like for the foot?
Yeah, so I had a surgery 5 weeks ago, and I actually have my checkup, my 6 week checkup on next week Tuesday. So then I can see what I can start doing. Then I'll start with rehab and try start walking. But then I just want to try get as fit as possible as soon as possible, and then start riding my bike when everything's properly strong and yeah, I'm fit and everything. I don't want to start too early and then have niggles throughout the year.
When does your season begin? What race are you putting on the calendar as the first one for the season?
I think the first one I'll be doing is in the middle of March. It's Hard Enduro South Africa for the first round, and then after that I have the National Enduro in mid-April.
And then from
Yeah.
there over to Valleys. I'm not too sure what the calendar looks like for the 25 championship. I mean, I think it's undergoing some changes with the current situation, so still more on that at a later stage. So I guess everyone's waiting for a little bit more information on that. But yeah, that's really cool. Is there any differences or major differences that you can feel between the move from gas to KTM? I know, I mean, pretty much same bike, right? Similar bike, but going from linkage to PDS, do you feel that at all, or is it like not much of a muchness?
Yeah, for sure. I do feel it. I prefer the PDS much more than the technical stuff. I would say probably up to about 40 k's an hour or 50 k's an hour. But above that, the
Mm,
PDS is really good. And I think for the enduros in South Africa, the linkage is
mm,
much better. But I don't see the PDS as again not. I don't think it will hinder my results at all. I think it's really good, and
mm,
I have a good setup here from TBR suspension. So yeah, I don't think it will hinder me at all. And also I think this year with not having to change so much, it won't be so much of a difference every time I change bike. Yeah.
cool. I think it's a good point. I think PDS has come such a long way, and in hard enduro, it's like slower tech. I like that you mentioned that it's in slower up to 40 kilometers an hour. So slower conditions, the PDS works quite well. But then as soon as you start going a bit faster, it can feel a bit, yeah, a little bit
Yeah.
like looser, I would say, than the linkage system. So that's cool. And tell us more about the sponsors that you're bringing on board. I see that you're wearing a USN hat at the moment. What's the deal with the sponsors you're bringing on board for the 25 season, other than Rigo Racing?
Yeah, so obviously I've got the KTM team in South Africa and then Rigo overseas, but then USN is also coming on board for this year. And other than that, I can't really say too much. Kit is still undergoing, and yeah, but USN is on board. Stoked about that as well.
Okay, cool. And so when will you get some more information on the rest of the deals? You're just busy finalizing them at the moment. Do you have like a few in mind that you're trying to finalize, or is it like you're trying to narrow down 10 brands to one, or is it just a couple at the moment?
No, it's really just in like the last stages. Yeah, just finalizing
Mm,
everything. Yeah, it's yeah. I will know probably by the end of January. So yeah.
mm. Cool, man. What an exciting year. And as I said, it's pretty remarkable the feats that you've made for in your racing career in such an early age. You only 19 now, right?
18, turning 19 in October.
Eight.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So you've got a couple of years of the World Junior Championships or the junior class still ahead of you. You can go up to 21, I think it is. So you've still got some time to figure that out. And then yeah, pro class and premier class is the next thing for you. But as I said, with the trajectory that you're on at the moment, it seems highly likely that you're going to be contending. How does it feel like stacking up against like Mitch Brightmore, Ashton Brightmore, Robert Crayston, all the Brits? I mean, the junior class is quite covered with a bunch of British riders. So how does it feel racing against them? Do you feel a bit not starstruck, but do you feel like you've got them?
Yeah, I mean, they're such good riders, and their trials background really helps
Mm,
them a lot. I do think in
mm,
the faster races, I do have them a little bit, but in the technical races, really need to improve and try hang on to them. And
mm,
yeah, I mean, the Brightmore brothers, they train together, they race together, and
mm,
they really probably quite competitive between each other, and I really think that helps them. I hope I get a bit of that brother
mm,
element with Matt now. Um,
mm.
and yeah, I mean the Brits are really good, and in wet condition they yeah, I mean 10 to none. So um, yeah, I do feel that I can contend with them and I can compete with them, and as I said, if I'm not going there to win, I don't know what I'm going to do. So yeah, for sure, want to
Yeah.
try and get them. Yeah.
I think it's quite crazy, like how technically, or like on the trial side, like technically gifted those the Brightmoors are when it comes to trials bike with that trials bike foundation. They've really just got so much technique inside those like slower technical sections. But I think from South Africa's side, it's just more commonplace where the riders just have like, again, I feel like more fuss bait. They're just ready just to bulldog and make it happen no matter how it looks or, with what technique to get it up. I mean, yeah, for sure, you want to have the better technique. But if you look at someone like Wade, like very strong, kind of like
Yeah.
burly rider, he just muscles the bike wherever it needs to go and makes that happen. With you, you're a little bit like more taller and slender, but with the long legs, it allows you to maybe put a foot off here and there and to find traction where other people can't even think about finding traction. So it's quite an interesting dynamic. And I mean, also you also see like people like Graham Jarvis, moving from trials to hard enduro. You've got Radford Chug, also really good rider that's just got so much skill from a trials perspective from the UK, from those British sides of things. So it's quite interesting to see those different elements coming from the different nations.
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard to compare South African technique with overseas technique. I mean, we almost completely different, and we
Mm,
all learn from each other. So we all sort of have the same sort of techniques. I mean, definitely Wade is in a South African context. I mean, he's definitely got the most technique, and he's
yeah,
really a good rider and one guy that I look up to. So racing against
yeah,
him is also another dream of mine. So. And
mm,
also Travis Teasdale, I mean, I've been coached by him for a while, and Will Slater also got coached by him, and we all sort of had the
mm,
same technique. We all quite tall, so we all try bulldog through it. So it's quite
mm,
hard to compare us
mm.
to yeah, what the overseas guys are doing.
Is there any rider that you're looking up to in the Premier class that's like kind of like an idol for you? Other than Wade, I guess Wade is the dog from SA, and we all look up to him, and he's kind of paved the way for South African hard enduro riders. But outside of him, is there anyone else that you kind of admire their technique and the way that they ride the bike?
Yeah, for sure. And since I was young, Johnny Walker was one of my huge heroes. Even in motocross, I had the same number as him, and now I have a similar number. I've changed my number to 25, so it's still a similar number to him. And yeah, I really like his technique and the way he carries himself. I really enjoy that, and he's always been one of my idols.
Epic, man. That's so cool to hear. And yeah, hopefully we can see him do some more of the Hard Enduro World Championship on a four-stroke. I think that will be quite interesting to see a 250F try and muscle its way up Romaniac's Carpathian mountain pass that Martin kind of throws at the gold riders inside the 25 year.
Yeah,
So it'll be quite interesting to see. What do
yeah,
you
for
think
sure.
about having a four-stroke in hard enduro? Do you think that it's doable, or do you think that two-stroke all the way?
Uh, I think two stroke all the way. I have ridden
Yeah.
a 254 stroke last year,
Mm,
and it's not bad in the tech stuff. It's just I feel like they need to build a four stroke for hard enduro.
mm,
Most of the four strokes are aimed at more faster racing, more like trail riding and not such hard enduro. So I think
mm.
if they aim a four stroke at hard enduro, I think there's no reason why it can't be good.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think the manufacturers are definitely not thinking about the hard enduro rider when they're making a 250 or 350 or whatever. It's definitely more for an open cross country style racer and rider. But
Yeah.
yeah, that pretty much wraps up this interview, bro. I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to coming on our podcast. And I'm really excited to see what you have in store for us for the 2025 season. Definitely, you guys that are listening in and watching in, definitely a guy to be looking out for this 25 season, because yeah, man, I'm excited. It's going to be a good one. I can feel it. So yeah, really cool. And congratulations once again on the new ride.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brandon. Thank you for having me as well. I mean, so cool to be out here on this podcast. It's also something that I watch and I'm thinking, hey, I want to be on one of those one day.
yeah, for the listeners that are listening in, if it's your first time listening to this podcast or watching it on YouTube, feel free to subscribe, give us a like, share it with your mates, because that really does help us out here, gives us the morale, keeps us going, and yeah, hopefully get more riders and more announcements of teams coming up inside the future. So yeah, thank you so much, and hope to see you at some rounds in this year, bro.